Taiwan, I'm Tiffany Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. We begin today with China's major military parade commemorating the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. It used the event to advance its narrative of that period of history and bolster its territorial claims to Taiwan, all causing heated debates here in Taipei. Our reporter Cadence Caranta has been following the story and joins us live from Taipei. Cadence, how have people been reacting here in Taiwan?
Taiwan President Lai Ching-te went to a ceremony this morning to honor fallen soldiers, and later in a Facebook post appeared to make several statements that were directed towards Beijing, which is using this military parade to showcase its newest weapons. Lai said that Taiwan, and I quote, does not use weapons to commemorate peace and instead learns from the lessons of history, believing that weapons should be used to defend Taiwan, not for aggression or expansion. Now, Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party has also come out and criticized the military parade, saying that this is a day that should be used to commemorate peace and that the Chinese Communist Party is a threat against peace. Taiwan has previously also said that China is distorting historical facts by claiming that they won during World War II, and it's using this distorted narrative of history to bolster its claims to Taiwan. And because of all these issues, they actually put a ban on all government officials attending this military parade.
So Cadence, why has this event proven controversial here in Taiwan?
So a big part of the story here is that several figures from Taiwan's political parties actually did attend the parade, despite the government saying that no one should take part in it. One of those people was former chair of the main opposition Kuomintang, Hong Xiuzhu. She said in a Facebook post last night that she was attending to honor the soldiers that had fought in the war, and she slammed the DPP for not letting people attend. A member of the KMT's leadership also attended, as well as the chairman of the pro-China New Party. Now, Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which handles issues with China, has also came out and said that Hong may have had access to sensitive information in a previous role as Deputy Legislative Speaker, and they would be looking into whether her attendance at the parade violated the ban on government officials attending.
Thanks for that update, Cadence. That was Cadence Caranta joining us live from Taipei. China's military parade has brought more than 20 world leaders together in Beijing. The intended message to the outside world is clear. China isn't giving up on claimed territories like Taiwan, and it has the clout it needs to push back against the United States. John Ventrias reports.
Chinese President Xi Jinping takes to the podium, flanked by Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. It's the first time the trio have met in person. Behind them stand other world leaders. For Xi, it's a day of triumph. It's been 80 years since the end of Japan's invasion of China, and today's a chance to show off how far China's military might has progressed. And there's a message to the world here, too. China is not to be trifled with, including in territories it claims as its own, places like Taiwan.
中国人民解放军始终是党和人民完全可以信赖的英雄部队。全军将士要忠实履行神圣职责，加快建设世界一流军队。 坚决维护国家主权、统一、领土完整。
And he's not stopping there. He recently called for a new multipolar world order, a challenge to the United States. The presence of other prominent leaders like Putin and Kim, who have their own conflicts with the U.S., is its own message to Washington from the People's Republic of China, or PRC.
Having many global leaders there shows that the PRC has friends, it is unafraid of pressure from the United States, and that it can potentially push back against the U.S. and U.S. pressure coming from the Trump administration.
It's a message U.S. President Donald Trump looks like he's received. In a social media post, he asked Xi to, quote, give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States. Though the parade lasted only about 70 minutes, it's having an impact around the world, as it issues a strident challenge to the current global order. Eason Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
China's military capabilities were on display in the parade, including a variety of conventional and new weapon systems. Alan Liu breaks it down.
President Xi Jinping watches as China's military, known as the People's Liberation Army or PLA, paraded through Beijing's Tiananmen Square. The event marks 80 years since Japan's surrender at the end of World War II. But while tens of thousands of troops took part in the event, it was the hundreds of cutting-edge weapons that have analysts paying attention.
The PLA continues to put an emphasis on prestige symbols. Really, not only is for international audiences like Japan, the United States, and even here in Taiwan to an extent, it also is for audiences within China itself.
They point to China's most advanced domestically made weapons, things like stealth fighter jets, anti-ship missiles, and guided ballistic missile systems capable of carrying nuclear warheads, what experts call fourth-generation weapons, high-tech, precision-guided, cyber or space weapons, the cutting edge.
他这次阅兵的时候，他统一就把所有他的这种新式装备都把它命成是第四代，他会把这些东西拿出来做成长，就是代表他在传统的这些相关武力的一个建设上面，其实他一样取得一定的建设的成果。
By comparison, Taiwan, which China claims as its territory, has invested heavily in asymmetric weapons in recent years, part of a strategy focused on small, cost-effective systems that pack a punch. This has seen Taiwan massively expand its drone force. Experts say the fact that China was also showing off both its drone and counter-drone systems means it's keeping up.
I would argue that this parade has shown that maybe some of those weapons, especially in the counter-drone space, are field-ready now. And once again, are being integrated at the unit level much earlier than most analysts, I think, would have expected.
Despite focusing on China's military past, this year's parade was clearly focused on future conflicts, demonstrating China's capability to adapt and incorporate technological advances into its military, and showing it seems to be well on track to meeting its modernization goals. Dolphin Chen and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party are deepening ties with Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party.
这一次呢，我们从2+2对谈之外，我们还下一个阶段还会有一个4+4的对谈，也就扩大了政策会议，这是今年最不一样的地方。但同时呢，我们也面对一个不一样的地方，就是呢，不论是执政党也好，民进党也好，其实我们都从多数党变成少数党，但我们一样在执政。作为少数执政党的一个责任当中，我们2+2的对话要持续进行。
Taiwan and Japan's ruling parties have been holding annual party-to-party dialogues since 2021 to create closer ties through policymaking. This year's discussions focus on foreign affairs and defense, as well as disaster prevention and undersea cable security. The meeting comes after 4 senior LDP officials offered to resign on Tuesday following the party's historic defeat in legislative elections in July.
本国の自民党では 昨日大変なことが起きておりまして、台湾に行っている場合かと言われかねませんが、これはこれで日本と台湾の関係をより進化させていくということで大切でありますので、あえてそちらの方は振り切って台湾に参ったところでございます。
Both parties also say they hope the annual exchanges will promote peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific. President Lai Ching-te says internet and phone connections are stable after reports that 9 undersea cables around Taiwan were damaged. He wrote on social media platform Threads that there were 3 affected cables and repairs should be finished by November. Taiwan has seen a sharp increase in undersea cable damage over the past year. In June, a Chinese ship captain was jailed for sabotage. Officials say such incidents are part of China's gray zone tactics aimed at undermining Taiwan's telecom security. The cause of this latest damage is still unclear. Taiwan chip giant TSMC will no longer be able to receive U.S.-made chip-making tools at its facility in Nanjing, China. That's after Washington further tightened export controls on Chinese fabs. The move mirrors U.S. actions last week on Chinese fabs operated by Korean chipmakers Samsung and SK Hynix. The U.S. Commerce Department says current China fabs can keep running with U.S. gear, but they can't expand or upgrade. TSMC says it's communicating with the U.S. government and is committed to the smooth operation of the Nanjing fab. That factory mainly produces chips for automotive and industrial applications using older 16 and 28 nanometer technologies. The facility accounts for about 3% of the company's global capacity. For more about what the controls mean for TSMC and its China operations, our reporter Chris Gorin spoke with Shravan Kandojala of SemiAnalysis.
Now that Washington has decided to cut off TSMC from U.S. chip-making tools for its facilities in Nanjing, China, what might be the impact on TSMC and the chip industry in China?
The decision definitely cripples Chinese fabless ecosystem by taking out a big company's presence within China, by by limiting TSMC from expanding its capacity in China. In terms of capacity, revenue, and profit, that fab contributes to low single-digit percentage of TSMC's revenue. But I think if you look at a broader picture, actually, it's a strategic fab for TSMC to operate in China because there are thousands of fabless companies in China. I think it's very important for TSMC to capture all of that opportunity with Chinese companies and be a provider to them. So now the bigger question mark is what will happen to the China for China strategy, right? I mean, China has mandated that the production has to happen within China. If TSMC is not able to get equipment, it's not able to expand the capacity, that business will now go to some of the local fabs, SMIC, Wong, these companies, and potentially to Huawei.
There's been a lot of focus on TSMC's overseas fabs in Arizona, in Japan, but what kind of products is this Nanjing facility making?
For Nanjing fab, TSMC makes 28 nanometer and 16 nanometer based chips. So basically, these chips go into smartphones, Wi-Fi. Think of them like connectivity, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, RF transceivers. On the automotive side, you have various power management chips and image sensors and some of the, and in industrial type of applications, IoT type of applications, wearables and digital TV SoCs, things like this. So it's not like cutting edge data center or cutting edge smartphone or AI processor, but if you look at the global demand in terms of wafers, I mean, mature node is still more than 2/3 of wafer demand. But in terms of revenue, advanced node is it's a big contributor. But in terms of raw volume, if you look at mature node is still fairly significant.
What do you think this latest move says about U.S. export control strategy moving forward, and how should companies like TSMC prepare?
Yeah, it's definitely they are doubling down on export controls, and this definitely closes the loophole they previously had. But I think TSMC has to operate within these constraints, and they have to satisfy the government requirements. Even if they lose some of the share to competitors, I think they should be okay. I mean, if you look at TSMC's broader revenue split picture, right, almost 3/4 of the revenue is advanced nodes, right? So that's where most of the profits are. That's where most of the opportunity for them.
That was Shravan Kandojala of SemiAnalysis. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we take you to Japan for a quirky contest, the Slipper Kicking Championship, where participants compete to see who can kick their slippers the highest and the farthest. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.